Welcome to the Five Hole Fantasy Hockey Podcast, the fantasy hockey podcast with no Pedersons to our name. We had one, Pat Pedersen, worked on the website, did social media for us, but the Canucks organization expropriated him. For those of you in America, like me, that's the equivalent of eminent domain. And for anyone who just doesn't know either one of those terms, I'm very sorry that my joke was so highbrow. But we are your hosts tonight, Jay and Alan. Jay, what's going on, man? Like, I know you just got home, like busy day.
Yeah, man. It's just glad to be talking hockey, Alan. It's, long days, longer Februarys, but let's talk hockey.
Yeah, before we get going, of course, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, because we don't normally ask you to. You can join us on the Discord, follow us on Twitter, and as usual, you can always pop in on our website, Work in Progress. No construction in progress gifts, though. Unfortunately, we haven't figured that out yet, and it's not the 90s anymore. FHFhockey.com, and we'll jump into the news storyline. So Ryan Hartman, Minnesota Wild, suspended for 10 games. And it does sound like the NHLPA at least will appeal that decision for roughing Timmy Stu. I think I didn't watch the clip, but it sounded like he smashed his face into the freaking ice. Not a good look, especially the team that's been kind of riddled with injuries, hoping they make a playoff push. I don't know. I don't think there's much fantasy relevance other than if he got him. I mean, depending on how your league works, I know Yahoo sometimes has him as NA, and if you have an NA spot, you might be able to get him in there. But otherwise, I think he's labeled as suspended, and I don't think he can do anything with that.
And I was gonna say too, wasn't that one of the hacks? They were saying that Yahoo always switches any player that goes from any player that is suspended actually takes a 10 or 15-minute window. They're popped as out and then rotated into NA or suspension or whatever. So
there is you might have a 30-second window where you can do that.
I think it's longer.
But then you handcuff yourself and you can't make any more ads or anything while they're in that spot.
Yeah, that is.
So it's is keeping yourself handcuffed like that worth it for the however long
for Ryan Hartman?
Definitely not 10 games. That's almost a month.
It's quite a bit for Ryan Hartman, I will say, for sure. Yeah.
But injuries. Mira Heiskanen and I got turtle reactioned for this in the Discord. So I knew he was injured. Yes. I knew it was a leg injury. Yes. But now we have an update. He underwent successful knee surgery. He is now labeled month to month. Man, Thomas Harley stonks
up. What's the other guy too? Wait, who's the second Thomas Harley?
Oh, they have S. Lindell on the second power play unit.
No, what was the guy's name? He was on our other chat before. Oh my goodness, let's pull up those Dallas Stars.
Oh, Lindquist. I think Lindquist is out too. I know he was sort of a puck moving defenseman prospect.
Never mind.
Yeah, and kind of the fact that the Stars traded for Cody Ceci.
Bichelle? Wasn't Bichelle the guy that was
or did he get sent back down to the minors? Blech.
He's got sent down to line 3 or defensive pairing 3. Oh, he's back to the 17 minutes, eh? He's the guy for the hits. That's the one. Yeah, if you need a deep slated cut, he is probably going to be due for a heck of a lot of more minutes. And, he's bound to do something.
Yeah. And like I said, the fact that they went and traded for Cody Ceci, they didn't try to grab a puck moving power play QB, means that the org kind of has faith in Harley at this point. And man, just next one, the hits keep freaking coming for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Zach Werenski is now day-to-day with some sort of upper body injury, suspected to be from an uncalled slash in Sunday's game. Ivan Provorov, who's that top power play, I don't know if I'm super interested. I mean, that team is just so beaten down. That this might be the time where the next man up isn't enough and we maybe move to other teams. I don't know, Jay, if are you interested in Provorov?
Well, the other one is Severson, right? Or Severson? Damon Severson, where he gets power play 2. Obviously, he's sharing that together with some dude called Denton Matejchuk. But I think the setup would be Severson might do more if you like combine like the rounded periffs and everything all together. And I don't know, like that kind of seems like the play, right? If you get Severson and he, I guess, like gives you that sort of peripheral floor. No, Alan, I'm with you. I don't know if we're going deep into the well for Provorov. Yeah, I don't know if the value is quite there.
Yeah. But next up, Matthew Barzal on IR indefinitely. Sounds like he blocked a puck there. I'm just so not interested in really anything on the Islanders. Maybe Tony D. He does have 2 points in 3 games.
We're gonna get back
still
to
pretty widely available. And Armin's asking in the chat, are any of Dobson or Barzal a drop now? I don't know if I'd drop them quite yet, unless it's one of those your IR is overflowing into your roster. I heard Dobson is supposed to actually start skating soon.
I heard that one as well. I can't believe it. I don't know what they did. That man must have like
ACLs and DCLs of steel. Worst case.
Yeah.
And Barzal, I mean, it depends on who's on the wire for you, but yeah, again, I would try to maybe trade Dobson for something, but yeah, I don't know, maybe Barzal you hold.
The hard part with Dobson, I would say, is if he's skating now, he's going to come back fresh right for the playoffs. Like for your playoffs and an Isles playoff push, you're never going to get any other person of value for him. So I wouldn't drop. I would trade if that is your goal. But obviously, you're trading for somebody of a higher floor and a lower ceiling to Dobson.
Ooh, and if we're dropping one of the two,
I would definitely.
I might drop Barzal. I feel like that production is harder to get from the back end.
Yes,
than
for sure.
A forward.
Yeah. You would probably replace Barzal's. You would definitely at their ceiling replace Barzal's value way faster on the wire.
That's interesting. We got in the chat here, Palmieri could be heading to LA from a source within the org. That would be interesting. That I feel like is the one thing they need. They have defense and goaltending on lock. They just need finishers.
So that opens up the line 2 power play 2 on the Isles for
no one cares.
Like
seriously, I'm so low on the Isles. Even though they're on a hot streak right now. So next up, another team that just can't catch a break right now. Shane Pinto left last night's game versus Tampa with an upper body injury. There were no updates after the game. I didn't see any updates today. I think we're looking at like line 1 Ridley Grieg, unless they want to slot Giroux in center or something. That sucks. Yeah. And I think Ottawa had a pretty good schedule this week.
Timmy Stu can probably slot over.
There we go. Yeah, they might. There we go. I guess they're not completely in trouble yet.
No, not quite, because Timmy Stu isn't the faceoff winner, right? So I guess they would probably chuck up Giroux just to take the dots, and then that's an interesting one.
So next up, big loss. Sidney Crosby did not practice today. He left last night's game, but returned after kind of going down funny and favoring his left side. You also have Malkin out. If those two are out, I mean, are we saying hello to 1C Cody Glass or Kevin Hayes? Like,
I'm thinking, are we saying hello to Captain Connor McDavid at the Four Nations?
That's true too. I'm just, man, as high as I've been on Ricky Rax like lately, this sucks. Like not having a legitimate center to play with.
Who else is gonna go with him? Like, are we looking at a? Oh dear, I'm scrolling down. I'm trying to look.
It's rough. Like, I mean, I know Kevin Hayes has been a top 6 center, but I don't think he is one now. And that's a problem.
Oh, jeez. It's a sad time.
So hopefully Crosby takes a day or 2 off maintenance and he's fine to go. So Quinn Hughes missed his 3rd straight game, and he did not travel to San Jose. If he misses any length of time, frickin' Philip Hronek, man, 44%. Just go check. He absolutely, at least for the last game, got power play 1. Good God. And it sucks because I mean the dude is I don't want to say a dark horse for Hart, but definitely he has a strong case for Hart Trophy.
I nearly thought you were talking about Hronik for a second, but yeah, okay.
No,
I'm with
sorry,
Hughes.
Quinn
Yeah,
Hughes. Back to Quinn Hughes. That team is just hurts without Quinn Hughes on the ice. Like I think he leads the team in points by 25. And just especially they've already lost some depth with JT Miller. Oof.
for sure.
But one return though. Yeah, Dilly Guns did return last night. Back on line 2, power play 1. And I think Utah's got like kind of a decent schedule coming down the stretch. So nice to have him back. But so instead of mailbag this week, moving to a new section. I don't know. Other pods call it something else, but I kind of want to call it like a fantasy eat this, not that. Just as I feel like at this point in the season, there are certain players that are just way over rostered, and some that are inversely criminally under rostered. So we thought we'd talk about some of those guys. So kind of, I took 2 pairs of players. First up for me, I am saying Gustav Forsling should not be 80% owned. And Jackson Lacombe at 34 is somewhat criminally underowned. I mean, they're kind of similar players, but Forsling will never sniff that power play time. It's just even with it was like Ekblad out, like all these other guys out, they would have rather played no-name guys over Gustav Forsling. Jackson Lacombe, he's pretty much a lock for that Ducks power play 1. Take it for what it is. But yeah, if you're going to give me a guy that's getting power play time over not all day, give me the power play guy. And then next up, this one might be a little controversial, especially after tonight. I think for a lot of formats, Chris Kreider is over-owned at 74%. Now, he did get a shorthanded goal tonight. Cool, awesome. But dude is playing through something gnarly, and he's only at and I am saying Kreider is overowned and William Eklund is underowned at 16%. So Eklund is pacing for just shy of double Kreider's pace. Like Eklund is pacing for almost these 59 points versus Kreider's 30. That might have changed after tonight, but it wouldn't have budged much. Eklund, most likely a lock for just a ton of deployment now that Mikael Granlund's out. Like he was even taking PK time last night. Like I think it hasn't really shown in the time on ice yet, but dude gets like 20 plus minutes a night on a Sharks team. And Kreider's time on ice is down like a minute and a half from last year. Like he's playing like third line. Like I think it's very rare that we would tell you to hold firmly or go pick up like a third line guy. Like I just think like Eklund is probably should be much higher owned in most formats. I'd say, like 10 or shallower, Kreider could probably go at this point, unless something really, really changes based on his deployments. Jay, did you? I saw you furiously working away. Did you come up with some?
I was throwing some names around. I think
No. You know what? These pairs you came up with, I like it.
Well, I think the big
and
one
they're
is
not controversial.
No, not too controversial. So obviously not everybody can see our notes, but Alan and I basically pecked out a couple of names that were like drops, and we kind of targeted them for like 50% ownership and up, and then the guys that were dropping are like 50% ownership and under. But some of these ads are ridiculous. Like, look at that San Jose lineup, right? They have a ton of names down the lineup, but you'd imagine some of these guys are like 90% owned. But Macklin Celebrini is 59%. He's not even 60% owned. There is no more Mikael Granlund, right? He's already traded away to the Stars. He has full free run. You look at his deployment before any of those trades, and he was still getting 17, 19 minutes. The moment those trades are processed, he's now bucking 22 minutes a night. I know he's not necessarily available in most of the leagues just because obviously he's now 59% owned. But check, that means in most half leagues, your center, line 1, power play 1 dude in a position of non-scarcity, you could probably, if he's available on the wire, target a lock in a trade for any, like bona fide defenseman, right? Like I'm not thinking obviously of like Kale McCarr here, but I am thinking of a guy maybe like a Mo Sider, like a guy. I'm trying to think of like who's the other guy on Vegas, like Shea Theodore, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
package one of your centers, try to do like a position upgrade like that, because there's an available wire center right there that could be, scooped up afterwards for good value. Other guys I was thinking of would be, what about Pavel Dorofeyev, right? Like 45% ownership. This guy gets power play one on the strongest team in, well, geez, I shouldn't say strongest team. I'm going to check those
That was like
standings.
one of, if not the strongest team in the
Yeah, they're
Pacific.
second in the Pacific, right? He's not even just on the power play. He is the trigger man, and he actually is the shot, right? So you want those power play goals from Vegas, and you can get them for a guy under 50. And then inversely,
And
what
he's still
about,
playing, and Dorofeyev's still playing with Hurdle. Like Hurdle's no slouch
yeah,
himself.
for sure. And like we mentioned before, that D'Angelo guy, like 33% ownership to get a power play one dude, and obviously banking, unfortunately, on whether or not he comes back healthy, strong, and in the season, right? I'm talking Noah Dobson. But I've held Morgan Riley for a while. Like Morgan Riley has traded places with OEL in that power play. He's at 71%,
And shit, they're
very
running
highly owned.
5 forwards most of the time now on that power play. Like that is how little they care about Morgan Riley.
And also remember, his 71% ownership comes with like a 96. I think that was the lowest, or 99% draft rate. So a quarter of managers have already given up hope. Like they have given up the ghost in terms of their hope and belief in Morgan Riley. And a 71%, probably too few of us have done so. Like we probably do not. We are seeing
Yeah,
a Toronto Maple Leafs team
like
that
he'll
doesn't
be
need it.
lucky to get 40 points at the end of the
Right.
season. Like that's
The
no.
Toronto Maple Leafs do not need Morgan Riley to produce on the power play for the Toronto Maple Leafs to score and succeed. And so why in the world are we looking at this man and realizing this is not a 20 game sample size. This is the whole season. If it's an 82 game sample size, that's just enough for me to make fantasy moves at this point at week 18.
And yeah, PT mentioned Brock Faber. Brock Faber was on like my short list of guys
Jeez,
to
yeah.
like potentially
Brock.
say, and like when like Spurgeon, who is getting power play one, probably has a better peripheral floor, is like 19. I thought I saw. Yeah, there's quite a few guys out there. Like again, that was
The other
kind
one,
of point of the section, is point out like the overowned and underowned guys.
another one too is like Seth Jones, right? 66% ownership. You look at what he's doing the past few games. Yeah, obviously he's been scoring a bit, got out for a little bit, but at least he is putting up and racking some points and periffs. You look at him compared to a Morgan Riley and you realize 60 and 70% ownership players can have drastically different, ceilings and opportunities available. I Alan, I'm gonna have to say, out of all the guys we listed, like if we had to put one name at the top, like I don't want to throw it for you first because it feels like I'm putting you on the spot. But if I had one name, I think I'm getting listeners to be like, you have to get this guy owned because of just how much value he is offering. I think the three names I would say probably would be the two I described with Celebrini and Dorofeyev for sure. You got to add, but the other one is I think D'Angelo is ridiculous. Like the fact that he is at 33% and a power play one lock, incredible.
Yeah.
How the heck is he not, more owned?
But I think unless you have anything else, I did see a question in chat here. I'll grab that before we get to the weekend preview. So PT's asking, who are you dropping out of these players? Jamie Benn, Voronkov, Schmaltz, Faber, Toffoli. I think I just kind of answered in the chat there. Of those guys, I think Faber is the most droppable right now. And Toffoli, I think, is a guy that might be maybe slightly underowned. I think he was like 33%.
I was gonna go the other way, right? Because with Toffoli, I was saying like Toffoli, I'm
Okay.
with you entirely. I'm with you entirely on like he's on the trending upward because he's the guy that gets more space with Granlund gone, right? So I don't know if I'd be dropping to Foley.
You know
Like
what?
I'm
I
with
think
you. I'm with you.
let me double check. I feel like in most leagues, Toffoli might be kind of relegated to streamer stats. Or well, no, 4 points in his last three.
Definitely for 10 teamers. Definitely for 10 teamers. 12
Yeah, I'd say he
teamers.
might be a streamer level guy. Toffoli,
The one with Brock is I just keep
but
thinking of PT's teams like that he posted before, and I'm just looking like all those forwards are so stacked, and then the D men like Brock, I would not suggest a drop until I had somebody that could be concretely, I guess, like inverted, and replaced for him. And looking at like it almost matches too, right? Like look at all the powerful forwards he's listing, and then the one defenseman, right? So it's like okay, if he's got a tough time replacing D, who else could I get in replacement, right? Like, okay, actually, if you have
well, that's what I'm
D'Angelo
saying. Like
available,
D'Angelo over Faber.
for sure, take him. Yeah, for Faber,
'Cause I mean,
100%.
at least in my opinion, maybe that's changed since last season. But Faber's never really been like a periffs floor guy for me. It's more.
No,
It's
he's
always a
not.
points
No,
play.
yeah, for sure.
And then like I was just saying in chat, like even when Spurgeon went out a second time, they were determined not to put they put like Declan Chisholm on power play one over Faber. Like I just don't know if this is going to be another. Who was that guy they had that just did not work out that they traded to the Sharks, and then I think eventually the Sharks waived him. I can't remember who that is
Oh,
now. I was trying to come up with it a few days ago. It was bothering me, but he just never panned out either.
it's
Like
not
I
Wall.
just think they've made that power play work without him or without the defenseman.
Well, just pulling up a couple names like that would be relevant, so to speak, like in terms of ownability, like Gudis, Big Daddy Gudis at 37% might be available in terms of like
And that's what he has
periff
a nice
stats.
peripheral floor.
For sure, for sure. Or even the other Perif dude, who was his name? Jacob Truba, right? Like
Yeah,
over there in the West Coast. Yeah, like he probably, well, what's his ownership right now? He's
I
yeah,
think he's
38%
30s.
ownership. 38%. Like it's tough, right? You're at this stage dropping a Faber at this point in the season, you're unless you have D'Angelo stonks and availabilities, you're not going to be getting power play one guys back. You're going to be recreating, as in a Moneyball term, the sum of the parts in other facets, as opposed to like wholesale one for one, like taking a guy in. I don't see many guys that are like D that are producing and then also lower than even like 80%. Like
Yeah.
all these guys are like 99,
And I mean,
98.
worst case, you can always go for one of those Blues defensemen, Falk and Fowler. I think they're both about
Yeah.
30%.
Fowler, yeah,
They're
for
both
sure.
not. I don't even think either one of them's pacing for 40 points right now, but it's the opportunity,
Jake
especially when you're
Wallman,
talking
maybe
like your fourth defenseman.
57%. Jake Wallman,
Yeah, just go check.
57%.
Like he should at
He should
57%. I
be
feel
owned.
like that is criminally underowned.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there we
Um,
go. We'll wrap that new section up in there and move to the weekend preview. Kind of a toughie this weekend. So there are no teams with Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and no teams with Friday and Sunday. So I figured we just kind of piece it game by game on Friday and Sunday since neither has very many days. So on Friday, you got Chicago versus Nashville. A few guys there. Bertuzzi, Donato, I think, is currently playing with Connor Bedard. Ryan O'Reilly still out there, still getting PP1 face-off leagues. He's probably invaluable. Ryan O'Reilly's 37%. A couple of those guys on Nashville, though, for periffs. You got Luke Shen. On Chicago side, I know you got, we mentioned on Monday, Connor Murphy. I think like one or two other guys. Nick Foligno. Anyone you can think of from either one of those teams worth looking at? I feel like this could be a 6-5 game.
yeah.
Because right, both of them are capable of scoring, but they'll both also give up some stuff.
Yeah. I was gonna say like one of the strats in these sorts of weeks that pops up in terms of scheduling is these are ladder weeks, right? Where instead of getting your interjoining games, you're looking for one slot to do the job and then basically like hop from that slot afterwards. So recording this obviously on a Wednesday, and then it's going to come out on a Thursday. So your ads coming out would be on the Thursday, right? So the one team that could go like back to back, and then you drop that team again for another back to back, you would have to go with the Colorado Avalanche, right? And then obviously part of that juicy game with that Edmonton Oilers and Colorado Avalanche game. But yeah, you'd have to ladder from that game and then drop whichever player that you had with the Avs to pop onto another back to back, right? So then you're going for Thursday, Friday back to backs with the Avs to Saturday, Sunday back to backs with Montreal, Tampa, and Utah, right? Like that's the only way I think in this week you could manufacture value, so to speak, with this ladder. The only issue is, Alan, I'm like, frick, are we going back in the well? Because crucially, this only works if you can get a guy you can drop on the Avs, which I know I can hear Craig in the background already. I think we're going back to the one man, right? Jonathan Drouin.
Yeah, I do have him as like a street, and I honestly I think 34% might be a little underowned. If he's playing with McKinnon and Natchez. For some reason they just really want to make him work on that top line, top power play.
Oh my goodness. But it's for the value. It's for the value this week and nothing else. I just want to clarify that. Craig's.
Yeah, Colorado Edmonton, that's another one that could
for sure.
Be like 5-4, 4-3, something like that. Yeah, and then I don't know, for some reason they got Corey Perry on line 1. I don't know why, but and for me, like the only guy, like if I want any sort of real upside or anything, Victor Arvidsson.
I could see it in deployment that isn't just like frustrating on a week to week, right? Like you genuinely could see him, like maintaining solid like core deployment all the way through. Hopefully, you'd think, right? Like from what we've seen in terms of career. I am curious though, Alan. Like I delve so deep, obviously, first with the first side of the ladder, where you're diving for Colorado guys that are like probably Drouin probably is that big value guy, I would say. Like aside from here, you're going Casey Middlestat, and I don't know if like
no
probably
thanks.
those two. But what about the back three? You know what I mean? The Montreal, got to dig it back up. So the Montreal and Tampa, Utah. Like, what about those guys? You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of like a name that pops up immediately on the mind off of it too.
There we go. Yeah, Montreal is hard, and we mentioned it Monday. Kind of just go check on Line A and Slafkovsky. They're still 55% owned. On Tampa, like the roster is kind of a mess after last night's game. Cirelli did come back, so if he still plays, he's probably the only member in that top 5 that you'll be able to get. Otherwise, if you want power play 1 access with Kucherov, since they've sort of ended that experiment, Mitchell Chaffee,
yeah,
he's less than 1% owned. And then while we're talking about Utah, Armin's asking about low-key bangers. I would say Utah's got a couple. Jack McBain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jack McBain for sure. Oh, my goodness. Ian Cole gets some blocks, I guess. It's 3 blocks a night?
There we go. Yeah, for riffs. And I think I mentioned that Monday. And Armin's asking for other kind of low-key bangers. Actually, Eli Tolvanen on Seattle has more hits than I thought he would. For a guy that I is kind of one of my go-tos if Bjorkstrand's taken on Seattle. He's got that goal scoring pedigree.
He's still at 37% ownership as well, right? Like but I need to check a bit because he might be giving. Oh shit! No, yeah, he is, dude. He was out for like 5 games, and his first game back in 15 minutes, 8 hits. Just like rolled through. Oh,
who was that?
God.
Sorry.
Kiefer Sherwood.
Oh God, yeah. Hit statty Kiefer Sherwood.
Oh my God. Blocks is, I think you're gonna have to. Yeah, I think Ian Cole is probably that guy. Ian Cole is probably the big guy because they have the good Utah schedule.
Although on the other side, while you're talking to Utah, plays Washington on Sunday. Washington, PLD, Connor McMichael, and Protas, they're all in that 40 to 50% range. They're definitely, especially PLD, man. He's actually doing stuff still. It's weird.
That tone was perfect, Alan. I was like, what is going on? Like,
yeah,
can Washington
I don't know. Maybe
even
as a
PLD?
maybe Spencer Carberry is the PLD whisperer. Who knows?
I was thinking, like, can Washington cure everything? Like, even PLD? Yeah, hell yeah! My goodness, a stud for both hits and blocks.
Before we get into the goalies for back-to-backs, Armin's for both hits and blocks.
Armin, come on, are we greedy here?
Well, that's how you do it, man. Like I've always been told for categories leagues, you want like
a guy that
aim for points and then use your streams to fill your peripheral.
The only guy that pops up heavy on both sides are all your Gudis. Gudis
180 hits.
Yeah, see, yeah,
124 blocks.
There we go. Gudis. Yeah, because I was looking on like Mo Sider's like elite in that stage too, but he's obviously all
if he's not, I know he's been hot lately. Romanov on the Isles.
Romanov, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Jacob Truba's another one too. Yeah, Jacob Truba's a good, solid guy. That can do both.
Braden Schneider on the Rangers. He has almost 100 hits, 100 blocks.
Braden Schneider. Got to look at this guy.
Oh, and of course, the Ghost Whisperer, Ghost Hunter, Brandon Tanev on Seattle.
Yeah,
like he's got quite a few hits and blocks.
I'm still looking for Schneider here. I was like, where the hell is this guy? Okay, we're gonna go directly to the well. This is
yeah, that's what I was thinking, because you got the Friday Rangers Pittsburgh. If you want, that'd be a nice game for hits and blocks.
90-94. Yeah. Braden Schneider's a solid one too. D3. He's gonna get out on the ice and just look in. You know, he's gonna laser in. But yeah, I think the solid strategy obviously would be to ladder those 4 teams, right? You gotta have, unfortunately, listeners, it's the Drouin and the middle stats sweepstakes. Unfortunately, you have to get them. And then whatever guy you got, please don't fall in love with and dip immediately.
Yeah, I don't get attached to Drouin. Like, I know he is hot as of late, but all it takes is like one solid bonk to the one strong breeze, and he's back on IR.
One strong breeze.
Yeah, one strong breeze back off IR.
But there's literally nobody else. Like, I'm looking at that team, and you're talking Joel Kivirantas, you're talking Ross Colton's. Like, it's rough. It's rough.
Told you, man. Ross Colton was not real.
Parker Kelly, if you really needed some
Parker Kelly.
Kelly, he's not too bad either. If you just need somebody to slot in for.
No, I'd say the Avs. Armin's asking for like a hold playoff schedule. Yeah, Avs. I think in most formats are pretty good.
Yeah, I was trying to remember as well, because it does depend when you start. If you start on the March 10th or March 17th, it does shift your schedule and strategy quite a bit. But I will say, for any listeners out there, if you're listening this on a Thursday morning, obviously, or Thursday, before games start, and you still got ads, you have to get the ladder Avs first, because once you get them, then you can unlock the remainder, right? But if you don't get the ladder Avs, then it doesn't matter.
But yeah, you're pretty much using your ads for spot starts this weekend. Sure. It sucks. But yeah, getting into goalies, we got our Friday, Saturday games. So New York plays versus Pittsburgh at Columbus. LA versus Dallas versus Anaheim. I like the Anaheim game for Riddick, but that's the Saturday game. Chicago versus Nashville at St. Louis. Dallas at LA at San Jose. San Jose, but that's the Saturday game. Nashville at Chicago versus Buffalo. Pittsburgh. I don't want either of their goalies. The Islanders, Winnipeg, and Minnesota. I don't like either of those matchups for them. Yeah, you're looking at most of these Saturday games, or maybe Chicago. Maybe they play Soderblom Friday versus Nashville.
Yes, I can see that.
That might almost be your best bet. Or Nashville, maybe they play Annunen against Chicago.
Yeah.
I would say that Chicago-Nashville's game, probably your best bet for any sort of, I don't even know if you want to call it a sure thing.
I don't. Uh, the name that stands out obviously is probably. We got to say Quick, right? Like Quick against a battered Columbus
Oh
Blue
yeah,
Jackets
Columbus team.
team
But
is
that's also,
probably.
again, that's the Saturday game. So
Yeah.
is it,
Yeah, you got so many other goalies, obviously, at that
yeah.
point. Yeah. Oh. Well, okay. So far today, Shesterkin. Oh, but yeah, they only played. That was the first game tonight was against Boston, right? So they played Shesty tonight. He's probably gonna play against Pittsburgh again. Oh yeah, Alan, this is a gross. This is a gross
Right.
goalie stream this week. Um, what was your take? Like the first guy of the
Maybe,
shit.
yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'd almost go Annunen against Chicago.
Oh, I'm
If we're
with you,
trying,
Alan. I
like,
don't
it's
know.
it's
Yeah.
tough because it'd be like, yeah, do Casey DeSmith versus San Jose. I
Mm.
just, there really isn't. It's not great.
It's a Meyer
So
wire this
yeah,
week for
we'll
sure.
just move to Saturday, Sunday. Tampa at Detroit at Montreal. So JoJo is out. They just signed some kid to a contract, and he's actually doing pretty well in the A. Let me try to find his name real quick because
But
I
Alan,
forgot it, even though it's my team.
Alan, my memes are literally becoming dreams because what is the point of
Oh,
doing
freaking
all the
Dobis.
shenanigans when Dovis is right there at 23%? Has this man lost a game? Oh fuck, he has lost a
He
game.
did,
Okay,
right? In
but
regulation. Did he lose a game in regulation? That's
he
that's
he he did lose. He actually got shut
oh.
out. No, not he got shut out. His team got shut out against the Wild
There we go. Brandon
and lost.
Halverson is most likely going to be get one of the starts in those two games. I forget his stats, but he's posting like a 916 in the A with like 4 shutouts. So he's not bad.
Not bad
I
for
don't
sure.
know.
I don't
Montreal
know if
is
he
a
can
team trying to cook right now.
I don't know if he can beat the perfection of Jakob Dobis, man.
Yakubov's, yeah,
The man is just on. Well, actually, I was gonna say he's on fuego, but I'm like, he has lost 2 games in a row, given up 7 goals over the last 2 games, and has given up the first goal tonight in the first against LA. At time of recording, and we'll see just how that game finishes out. But well, he
right,
doesn't look like he's getting the goal support, so to speak. And I don't know, Alan. Like
yeah.
maybe I
I
can't lose
just,
faith in him. I can't lose faith in him. Jakob Dobis.
but they, Montreal in turn, they're playing Jersey and Tampa, and they're back to back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't
What's
know.
that
Yeah,
last
I mean
goal?
Tampa probably sees the quote lesser goalie. Um,
And I mean, the real value is the last. Like we got you got to go for the last team too, right? Like that's the
right.
real value, I think.
And then Utah is at Carolina, at Washington. I mean, both of those goalies have been pretty good as of late, but I still don't know if I spot start Connor Ingram against either one of those, or even Vegmelka. I don't know what's
Yeah, it looks like they're
Vegmelka's
just doing the
ownership.
straight rotations, right? They're just doing the 1A, 1Bs. So it was Veggie tonight, or sorry, Veggie yesterday on Monday. So
Okay,
then,
Veggie's 30%. So both those guys are available.
yeah, both those guys are around.
Should you
So then it
although
basically, so it's gone Veggie. So next game's going to be Ingram, and then it's going to be probably Veggie Ingram, right? So I guess it's Ingram against what?
Washington?
Oh,
I don't like that, man. Like
he's going to see
Washington
rubber.
is
Nah, Washington will
so much better than we thought they'd be this season. So yeah, back to Armin's question. He's saying weeks 22 to the 24. Let me pop up. So some of those teams that target there, Buffalo, I can't think of any really good banger guys on there. Dallas, I think who was that guy we talked about earlier in the show that was like low key is like 17 minutes. Yeah, Bichelle or
Liam
Biskel
Michelle. Yeah. Yeah.
or
Michelle.
Esselindell.
Lindell
Esselindell
too.
gets some power play time and is pretty solid on the riffs. Minnesota, their back end's getting a little bit healthier. I would look for some of those guys. Middleton's probably owned up. Nashville, yeah, Luke Shen. Ottawa, Artem Zub, I would say is pretty widely available.
So just following up again,
in
the
those top
main ask
teams.
The main ask is for the blocks and the hits.
Hits and blocks. He's wanting to cover hits and blocks in those playoff weeks. He wants holds, not streams.
Yeah, no streams. Okay. Jeez. What's both D on the Calgary lines are pretty owned up, right? So there's because I was thinking.
I mean, Anderson's pretty good for like shots and stuff. I don't know if
but he's
I trust him for
72%
one
owned
that.
too, right? He's not going to be available.
Yeah.
Pospisil is a great hits guy for 14%.
I know he did mention that as one of his examples.
Yes.
I feel like in Cats leagues he's probably super owned up.
Oh, yeah, he's probably snatched up. It's tough to suggest any guy that would auto win it for you, because any guy, frankly, that is auto winning you it is already on a line. Like, we mentioned the names already, right? Like Radko Gudas, he's not even showing up, right? Like, Alan, when you put the zoom, because he's not even on one of like the teams that's incredible there. But he's Anaheim, got the most off nights right in the league,
right?
37% ownership. But even other names, they generally tend one or the other, right? Like if you're a guy that blocks a lot, you have to be in position.
Okay. So he's okay. So the guys he listed up above: Matt Roy, Pospisil, Olivier, and Marcus Pedersen are all available
right now. He's literally like, look at Alan's screen right now. He literally says,
Calgary does have. Yeah, they don't have too many off nights, but they definitely have a better schedule. I don't know about even in this first week, man. That's strength of schedule at Toronto, at New York, at New Jersey, at the Isles.
But that's good, right? Inversely, that's great because they're not.
Man, that's true. That gets him hits if you're picking up someone for hits. He's going to be
chasing everywhere. Yeah, so it's great. Pospisil is the guy, Armin, that you.
Honestly, he's asking drop Barzal, Dobson, Neighbors, or Cousins. Maybe drop.
There's Barzal. No way for you to slot Dobson into the IR. There's no way.
Yeah, because St. Louis still has Buffalo. Buffalo, assuming that Cousins doesn't get traded, Buffalo has one of the best. As you can see if you're watching with us. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's Barzal. I feel like those points, assuming he comes back and gets power play one, Dobbs, like it's hard to get those points on the back end.
Armin, I'm so sorry for you for running an infirmary when you signed up for fantasy hockey, but it is what it is.
It's the angel of death, really.
Alan, at some point I realized like I need to stop falling and I tell myself every year when I do fantasy as well, I need to stop falling in love with the future and stick in the present. And Alan, the sucky part with Noah Dobson is every single day that trends away and he is there with us watching those wild like still shots. Is he coming back? You know what I mean? Like, if he comes back, I will feel like the worst sucker in the world, to have dropped that guy or like to have traded him. You know what I mean?
Which one?
Noah Dobson.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But on the inverse, I mean, especially if you have a full IR stash, like people know you're trading from a position of weakness. You're really getting jack all for him at that point. Sure.
And then the inverse is if we drop Barzal on the flip side, is Barzal just so much more replaceable on the wire? Like in terms of like, I agree. You know what?
I think so.
Armin,
so much. I'm just so low. I mean, I know they're on a hot streak. I just don't, because what's he have? 20 points on the season.
Right.
And he's supposed to be like their star.
He was hurt for you're right. Yeah. 20 points in the season.
Come on, like those are at this point in the season, those are the guys we're telling you as like your long shot streamers to grab.
For sure. So I think it's from 5-hole, Armin. Yeah, it's Barzal. That's the guy. Barzal. If you need
Barzal.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to cover like hits and blocks. But yeah, just to round it out. So next quote week is really weird. It runs February 10th through March 2nd, but there are no games until the 22nd because of the Four Nations tournament. You might have heard of it if you follow the NHL at all. But the best schedules. So this is, I went from the 22nd till the 2nd. Nashville, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis have 6 games with 1 off night. LA were definitely worth mentioning. 5 games, 3 off nights. I think that was the most off nights. The worst schedule, Ottawa only has 3 games, one of them on off nights. And that is going to go ahead and wrap it for tonight. Again, if we didn't get... Oh, sorry.
The big one I would say is just for any folks for Ottawa, okay, if you're looking ahead and realizing, please, if you have additional ads at the end of Week 18, Ottawa's done playing on Saturday.
There you go.
Drop Ottawa guys to make targeted ads using your Week 18s so that for Week 19 you have additional ads to play with. Okay,
right, and this is almost perfect timing for guys holding Norris or anyone who picked up Shane Pinto for the week. Like, yeah, kicking the curb. But yeah, it's like if you're a Sanderson owner, if you're a Stu owner, ouch.
Oh, yeah, diamond hands. Yeah,
for sure. Gotta hold.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it there for the night. If we can get your questions in chat, remember you can always DM us on Twitter or pop by the Discord. You can even tag us using @FHFH. We'll be back this Saturday with Sit Start at 11 a.m. Eastern. And enjoy the Four Nations tournament, everyone. We'll see you next time. Good night, good mental health.
I'm blown away at that Armin notification button. Anywho, go play.